In this video, I'm going to show you the top 10 Linux command every user should know. So let's jump right into it. So in number 10, we have ls. ls is a utility that allows us to list folders and files in our Linux terminal. If we only type ls, you can see that now we have a list of files and folders. ls also has some cool arguments that allows us to display more detailed information. So for example, if I do ls and then I do a -l, it's going to output the same files and folders that we have, but now we have more details. We have permissions, we have the owner or the user, and we also have the group, and we also have the date and time that the file was created. So as you can see here, if you have a file, it's going to have a little dash like this, and if you have a folder, it's going to have a D, meaning directory. In number 9, we have PWD. PWD means print working directory. It's going to print out to the terminal where you're currently in your terminal. So let's do that. So if we do PWD, as you can see, it's telling me that I am currently in the root folder. It's very easy to get lost in your terminal and not know where you are. So the PWD command is great for this. Now, in number 8, we have clear. Clear is basically just a command that will clear your terminal. So if we already have a lot of information or a lot of output that we already used, if we want to clear our terminal, we only need to type clear. That way, all of the past output is cleared and we have a fresh terminal to work with. In number 7, we have a CD. CD means change directory, and change directory basically is your tool to navigate across the entire Linux terminal. As we saw previously with PWD, we know that we are in our root folder, but now we want to move to another folder. So we're going to use CD for this. If we do CD and then we type, we want to go to the root directory of the Linux. Now, what if we do an ls in this directory? Oh, you see, there's a lot more output here. If we do an ls and then we do an L, now we can see that this is the base root directory of our system. From here, we can go anywhere we want. If we wanted to go to OPT, for example, we would do CD and then we would do OPT. And then enter. And then now if we type PWD, you can see that now we are currently in the OPT directory. And if we do an ls, now we have other folders and other files. This is the power of CD. This is a utility that you're going to use a lot when you're working on a Linux system. And now in number 6, we have touch. So what is the touch command? Well, the touch command basically enables you to create files. So if you wanted to create any type of file, whether it's a configuration file or a text file or anything like that, you could use the command touch to do this. So let's do it. But first, let's clear our terminal with the command clear. So let's create a file. So for that, we're going to use touch. And then we're going to call it file.txt. Now, if we do a list -l, now we can see that our file is created here. The owner is root, the group is root because we're connected as root. But if you were connected with your user account, this file will be created with your username as the owner. Perfect. So now we can create files. That's the magic of touch. You can create any type of file that you want anywhere in your Linux system. And now for number 5, we have cat or concatenate. Basically, cat is a very useful utility if you want to peek into files. If you want to just output the contents of a file to your terminal just to quickly see what's in them. With the previous file that we created, I added some text, and now we can use cat to display the contents. So let's do that. So we just type cat, and then we type file, and we can use tab to autocomplete. And then if we press enter to execute the command, now you can see that there is some text inside of this file. So this is very useful if you want to just peek quickly into a file and see the contents before you open it or edit. And this is a command that you are going to use a lot when you're looking at logs, for example, of a server. You usually just do cat and maybe use another command to filter out the results. Now in number 4, we have mkdir. This is the equivalent of touch, but to create folders and directories. So let's create a folder. So we type mkdir. And then we type the name of the folder that we want to create. For example, folder 1. We press enter. And then we're going to use ls again. So you see what's the importance of ls. We use it very often. As we can see here, we already have our folder. If we wanted to go into that folder, we could use our cd command. Remember, cd is change directory. So we can change directories into folder number 1. We press enter. And now we're going to use our pw command to see where we are. So if we press pwd, print working directory, now you can see that we are in /opt/folder1. All of these commands are coming together very nicely, and this is the very basic commands that you need to know from Linux to be able to work on any Linux system. So let's continue. In number 3, we have mv. Now mv, it stands for move. So if you wanted to move folders and files across your system, this is the command that you want to use. Take in consideration that making a move is the equivalent of cut and paste in Windows or in Mac. You're not creating a copy, you're actually moving the folders and the files from one place to another. Let's go back to our OPT folder. So we can do cd/opt. And then we're going to use an ls-l again. And now we're going to move our file into our folder by using the command move. So we type mv, and then we do file. We use tab to autocomplete, and we're going to give it a destination. So the destination is going to be our folder 1. So folder 1, tab again to autocomplete, and then we execute the move command. Okay, no errors, no problem. Now if we do a list here before moving to the folder, we can see that our file now is gone, but it should be in our folder 1. So let's change directory to our folder 1. And then we do an ls-l. And as you can see, our file was moved to the folder 1 using the move command. And now in number 2, we have rm. Now rm stands for remove, and this is the command that you use to delete files and folders on your Linux system. With this command, you have to be very careful because in Linux, when you're root or where you have sudo, you can basically delete system files that could break your entire system. You just need to be careful and make sure that you actually want to delete these files. Let's execute the remove command. We're going to do rm, and then we're going to choose our file, tab to autocomplete, and then we're going to press enter. Because this is a very destructive command, the terminal is always going to ask you, are you sure you want to delete this file? And we're going to type Y for yes, and then we're going to press enter. So this is how you delete a file using rm. Now, if we do a list again, ls-l, we can see that our file is gone. What if we want to delete a folder? So let's go back to our previous folder, /opt. We're going to do a list, and we're going to execute the rm command again. So if we do rm and then we want to remove our folder, for example, you can see that we have an error that says cannot remove folder 1 is a directory. The rm command is meant to be used to delete files. We need to give it an additional argument to be able to remove the folder. The argument that we want is -r, and this basically is just telling that delete the folder and anything that is inside that folder. The /r stands for recursive. So we're going to execute the rm-r command now. rm-r, and then we choose our folder, folder 1, we press enter, and again it's going to ask us for confirmation. Do you want to delete this folder? We say yes. And if we list again, we can see that our folder is gone. And now for number 1, we have man. Now, what is the man command? The man command is basically your source of all information. It's almost as if you had a Linux expert by your side. Basically, the man command stands for manual. Pretty much all commands in Linux have a manual. So for example, let's open the manual for the ls command. And to do that, we have to execute man. And then we type the ls command, enter. We have all the details about the ls command. This is one of the most important Linux command you will ever use, because if you don't know what a command does, this will basically tell you everything about this command. So for example, with the ls command, it says list directories, and then it says description. List the information about the files, the current directory by default. This is telling you the description. It's telling you all the options that you can use with the ls command. For example, -a, do not ignore entries starting with a dot. The dot in Linux means that the file is hidden. So if you wanted to make a list of all the files, including the hidden files, you could do an ls-la, and it will show you all the files and folders, including the hidden files. You also have b to print C-style escapes for non-graphic characters. So you basically get the gist of it. This is just a big manual of all the options that you could use for your command. Now let's type q to quit. The man command is one of the most important Linux commands because if you want to get certified by Red Hat or any other Linux certification, most likely the machine that you are going to be working on is not going to have access to internet. If you ever get stuck and you don't know what to do, you don't know how to use a command specifically that the exam is telling you, well, you can use the man command, and it's almost as if you were Googling what does the ls command does. This will be very handy if you are in a situation like that where you need to know about a new command that you don't know, and you can have all the information at your fingertips. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Leave any questions or suggestions in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next one.